Ben Hawley learned the station's mornings by sound. Before the big market woke up, the metal halls were quiet. Only the vents hummed. Only the cleaning drones rolled past with soft blue lights. And far above the cargo rings, where rich travelers slept, the air smelled clean. But down here, near the waste locks and quarantine doors, the air smelled like old oil and burned dust. Ben worked early because early shifts paid a little more. He pushed a cart of sealed bins, checked broken floor, panels, and swapped filters in the vents. It was simple work, safe work, the kind of work that kept him invisible. That was what he wanted. He had no family on this station, no friends he trusted, no reason to stand out. So he kept his head down and followed rules at least. He tried to. The first time Ben saw the warning door, it was half hidden behind stacked crates. A long wall of black alloy, too thick for normal storage. A panel with a red symbol, and words in 5 languages that all meant the same thing. By Allah, quarantine, do not enter. A camera sat above the panel like a cold eye. Ben should have rolled his cart past it and forgotten it forever. He did. Roll past it. He did forget it almost, but then he heard the sound. It was not a scream, not a roar, not a hiss. It was a slow, tired breath. Like something heavy was sleeping and dreaming of pain. Ben stopped walking. He told himself it was a machine. A broken coolant pipe. A fan that needed oil. Then he heard it again, deeper this time. A breath that carried the weight of a living chest. Ben's hand tightened on the cart handle. He stared at the red warning light. He walked away. That was day 1. Day 2. He brought an extra heat pack in his jacket. He told himself it was for his own hands. The lower decks were always cold. Day 3. He noticed a small service hatch near the floor. The kind workers used to move cables. It had dust on the edges like it was never opened. Day 4. Ben found a bowl in the trash compactor bay. Stainless. Steel, dented, still, clean. It had a stamp on the bottom. Medical supply return after use. He stared at it for a long moment. Then he slid it into his cart. On day 5, he carried a small food box with his tools. Just scraps. Not stolen meals. Not expensive protein. Only what the station threw away but was still safe. Dried meat strips from a vendor who closed early. Warm broth cubes. A few nutrient bars that failed a packaging scan. Ben told himself he would only look. Only check, then he would go back to work and pretend he had never felt curious. He arrived at the black alloy door before the market woke. The hallway lights were dim. The camera lens above the panel looked straight down at him. Ben froze. For a second, he thought a guard would step out and ask for his ID. For a second, he thought the alarm would scream. Nothing happened. Ben swallowed. He set the food box on the floor, then he crouched at the service hatch near the bottom of the wall. There was no lock, only a simple latch. That should have scared him more. Ben opened it slowly. Cold air spilled out, sharp and dry. It smelled like dust, old stone, and something burned long ago. Inside there was darkness and a faint glow. A single low-light strip ran along the floor, just enough to show the shape beyond the wall. Ben's breath caught. A dragon lay inside. Not a storybook dragon. Not a shiny, holovid monster. This one was real, and it looked like the station had tried to forget it existed. The creature filled most of the bay. Its scales were gray-black, dull like ash. Old scars crossed its side like deep cracks in rock. Heavy chains ran from its limbs into anchors in the floor. One wing was folded wrong, the bone shape uneven, like it healed badly. Ben did not move. The dragon's chest rose and fell, slow and tired. Its head rested near the far wall, but one eye was half open, a gold eye, not bright like anger, more like a lamp that refused to go out. Ben felt suddenly ashamed, like he had walked into a room where someone was dying. He slid the bowl through the hatch, then he opened the food box and poured in the scraps. The smell of meat and broth filled the tiny gap. Ben waited for the dragon to lunge, to roar, to bite. He did not. The gold eye blinked once. Then the dragon moved carefully, like every motion hurt. Chains tightened with a heavy clink. The creature dragged its head closer to the bowl and smelled the food. Ben stayed frozen, his fingers numbed as the dragon ate slowly, not like an animal tearing prey, like an old person taking small bites so the body would not reject it. Ben felt his throat tighten. He whispered, barely making sound, "Morning." The dragon paused. Its eye looked at him directly through the hatch gap. Ben didn't know why he did it, but he said the next words like they were already true. "Morning, Astra." He had no idea where the name came from. It fit. Astra swallowed, then lowered her head again. She finished the food. When the bowl was empty, she did not pull away. She stayed close to the hatch, breathing warm air into the gap. Ben realized, with a strange shock, that she was listening, he should have left right then. But he reached into his jacket and pulled out the heat pack. His hand shook as he slid it through the hatch. The heat pack landed near Astra's claw. Astra stared at it for a long moment. Then the claw moved. Slow, gentle. She pulled it closer to her chest, like it was something precious. Ben's eyes burned. He hated that feeling. He hated how fast it arrived. He hated that a creature chained in a dark room could make him feel like the station was the cruel one. A sound came from behind him. A boot on metal. Ben spun around so fast his shoulder hit the wall. His heart slammed in his chest. Two figures stood at the end of the hallway. One was a guard captain, tall and armored, with a stun rifle held low but ready. The other wore a sleek coat with a legal badge. A lawyer. They did not look surprised. They looked prepared. The guard captain's voice was cold. Step away from the hatch. Human. Ben's mouth went dry. I work here. Was just the lawyer raised a small tablet. On the screen was a live feed. Ben's face, recorded from above. The lawyer's eyes were sharp, calm, and unreadable. You came back, she said softly. Just like we hoped. Ben stared at her. Hoped. The guard captain took one step closer. You touched an Imperial asset. Ben backed up until his shoulder hit the wall again. I only fed her. From behind the wall, a low breath sounded deeper now. Alert. The lawyer smiled. Just a little. Yes, she said. And now we can begin. Ben opened his mouth to ask what that meant. The station lights, snapped brighter on the quarantine door lock started to disengage. The locks clicked one by one. Slow and heavy, like a giant machine waking up. Ben's eyes went to the black alloy door. The red warning light above it turned from steady to blinking. A soft alarm started low, not loud, as if the station was trying not to scare the thing inside. Captain Rack lifted his stun rifle. He did not point it at Ben. He pointed it at the door. Hands where I can see them, Rack said. Ben raised both hands. His palms were open. His heart felt too big for his chest. The lawyer stepped closer. She was not afraid of the door. That was the strangest part. She moved like she owned the hallway. Her badge caught the light, as silver symbols stamped into it. A circle, a star, and a scale. Ben had seen that symbol on screens near the courts. Legal authority. Ben swallowed. You planned this. The lawyer looked at him like she was measuring his bones. Planned is a strong word, she said. We prepared for a possibility. Rack's jaw tightened. Vela, don't talk in riddles. We need him secured. Vela. So that was her name. Vela Core held up her tablet. Captain, if you arrest him now, you help the syndicate. Rack's eyes narrowed. You're saying I should let him walk away? No, Vela said calmly. I'm saying he must leave this corridor alive and free. For now. Ben stared at them. Syndicate. What does that have to do with her? As if the dragon understood the word. A deep breath rolled through the wall. The service hatch vibrated. Ben felt it in his teeth. Rack stepped between Ben and the hatch. Don't speak to it. It's not it, Vela corrected softly. Rack didn't answer. He kept his rifle steady. Ben's voice came out thin. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I swear I didn't steal anything. You only fed Astra. Vela finished. Each morning. By choice. Without payment. Without threat. Ben blinked. How do you know it was each morning? I only started. Vela tapped a tablet. The camera feed rewound. Ben saw himself on the screen. Day 5. Day 6. Day 6. Day 7. Each morning. Same time. Same cot. Same small box. Ben's stomach dropped. You were watching me? Yes, Vela said. Because we had to. Rack's voice was low. Enough talk. Muhal. Ben flinched at his name. Hadi. Rack gestured down the hall. Walk now. No sudden moves. Ben walked, with both hands raised. Vela followed beside him, steps smooth, almost quiet. Rack stayed behind like a wall that moved. They reached a small security room, a plain metal door. No windows. When it shut, the hallway alarm became muffled. Ben lowered his hands slowly. His shoulders ached from holding them up. Vela placed her tablet on a desk and folded her arms. Ben Hale, she said. You are not under arrest. Ben let out a shaky breath. Then what am I? Rack answered. A problem. Vela's eyes stayed on Ben. You are a witness. Ben frowned. Witness to what? Vela leaned forward slightly. To Astra's mind. Ben didn't understand. She's a dragon. She's old. She's chained. What mind would court would care? Vela's expression tightened. For a moment, she looked tired too, like she had not slept in days. There are laws older than this station, she said. Older than the market rings. Older than the war routes. Laws from a time when dragons were not cages and chains, but names and banners. Rack snorted. Ancient nonsense. It's not nonsense, Vela said sharply. Then so, not in this case. Ben's throat felt dry, so why is she here? Why is she locked away? Vela looked at the sealed door as if she could see through it. Because Astra is valuable, she said. And because she is inconvenient. Ben waited. Vela continued. Astra is the last living member of a line that signed treaties with 3 major systems. That line held land, ships, mineral rights, and trust funds built over centuries. Ben's mouth opened. He almost laughed from shock. A dragon has money. Rack's eyes flicked to Vela. Even he looked surprised. Vela did not smile. Astra has legal standing, she said, not as property, as a person. Ben's skin went cold. He remembered the chains, the dull scales, the quiet breathing, the heat pack held close like a gift. A person, he repeated. Yes, Vela said. But the syndicate wants her declared unsafe and incapable. If they succeed, Astra becomes an asset again. Transferable, sellable, silent. Ben's hands curled into fists. That's sick. Rack's voice was hard. Careful. You don't understand who you're speaking about. I understand enough. Ben shot back, then immediately regretted it. He looked at Rack's rifle, lowered his eyes. Sorry. Vela watched him closely. Do you know why your feeding matters? She asked. Ben swallowed. Because you can say she didn't attack me? Vela nodded once. Because it proves choice, she said. It proves control without force. It proves she can decide. And if she can decide, the old law can't call her incapable. Ben stared. So you used me. Rack stepped forward. Watch your tone. Vela lifted a hand, stopping him. He has a right to be angry, she said. Then she faced Ben again. Yes, we watched you, but we did not push you. We did not pay you. We did not threaten you. You went there because you wanted to. Ben's anger flickered, confused by guilt. She was starving, he said quietly. Or, it felt like she was. Vela's eyes softened for the first time. Just a little. Choose, she said. They kept her alive. Not comfortable, Rack muttered. Orders. Ben's jaw tightened. Whose orders? Vela's voice turned flat again. The quarantine contract belongs to Kestrel Syndicate. They fund the bay. They control access, and they want a ruling. Ben felt the room tilt. So why are you here? I represent Astra, Vela said. Or I try to. The Syndicate claims she cannot hire counsel. They claim she cannot speak for herself. Ben's voice was small. Can she? Vela hesitated. That pause was heavier than any word. Not as Lee, she admitted. Age and damage have taken much, but she understands. And she remembers. Rack crossed his arms. We're wasting. Vela ignored him and pulled up another file on the tablet. A set of documents, stamps, and seals. Then she slid the screen toward Ben. On it was a simple clause, highlighted in blue. Voluntary caretaking acts establish intent and consent. Ben stared at it. What does that mean? It means, Vela said, if Astra accepts your care openly, and you continue, you become part of her legal proof. Ben's stomach dropped. I don't want courts. I don't want syndicates. I just fed an old dragon each morning, Vela said. And now the station's most powerful people know your name. Rack's wrist device beeped. He checked it, then looked up. Grim. They're moving, he said. Vela's eyes sharpened. Already. Rack nodded. Syndicate security. Heading to the quarantine bay. Ben felt his blood turn to ice. What are they going to do? Vela's voice went low. They will try to make Astra look dangerous, she said. And if they can't, they will try to remove her. Quietly. Ben's breath shook. And me. Rack looked at him like a soldier judging a weak door. If you're in the way, he said, you won't be a witness anymore. Vela grabbed a small access tag from her coat and pressed it into Ben's hand. It was warm, like it had been held tight. Ben, she said, fast and serious, you have one choice right now. Ben stared at the tag. What choice? Vela's eyes locked onto his. Walk away, she said, or come with us back to Astra before they reach her. A deep sound rolled through the floor, even from here. A low, restless breath, as if the bay itself sensed danger. Ben closed his fingers around the tag, and for the first time, he realized this was no longer about food. It was about a life, and someone was coming to take it. Ben ran with Velacor and Cat and Rack through the service tunnels, clutching the access tag in his fist. You can still walk away, Vela said, eyes on her tablet. But if they hurt her, you will never forget. Ben kept running. They reached the quarantine corridor. The red warning light over Astra's bay blinked fast. 6 Kestrel Syndicate guards blocked the black alloy door. A thin man in a sleek coat stood in front, smiling. A cart beside him carried a stainless bowl and a sealed food box that looked brand new. Rack stepped forward, stun rifle ready, cleared the door. The thin man's smile did not move. Capture account, said he, nodding at Vela. Emergency safety inspection. Vela lifted her badge. This bay is under legal hold, she said. You do not enter, her vitals are failing, the man replied. We are here to help. Ben's eyes stayed on the food box. A sharp, sweet smell leaked from the seal. Chemical, he heard himself speak. Don't feed her that. The thin man looked at him. Who is this human? A witness, Vela said. And the only human the dragon accepts. A syndicate guard pushed the cart forward. Approved supplement. Ben shook his head. Strong smeller. Rack leaned in. His face tightened. Opened the box. The guard hesitated. Rack lifted his rifle 1 inch. The guard opened. Inside were meat strips, arranged neatly. Tiny shining grains covered them like sugar. Vela's voice turned hard. What is on that food? Stabilizers, the thin man said too quickly. Ben rubbed a grain between his fingers. Oily, his stomach flipped. That's a drug, he said. A strong one. Vela raised her tablet and began recording. Captain, we have attempted poisoning. The thin man's smile died. Seized the human. 2 guards moved toward Ben. Rack stepped between them. Back off. They kept coming. Rack fired 1 stun shot into the floor. Blue sparks jumped. The guards stopped, blinking. Then Ben heard a thin hiss above the bay door. He looked up. A ceiling vent sat slightly loose. Inside the bay, Astra roared. The sound hit the corridor like a heavy wave. Chains slammed. Metal screamed. The thin man took a step back. Loud for the cameras, you see. This creature is unstable. Ben's eyes stayed on the vent. A tiny dart dropped from above and struck the floor near his boot. It rolled once and stopped. Ben froze. Rack swore under his breath and scanned the ceiling. Drone shot. Vela's face went white with anger. They planned this. Ben moved to the narrow window slit in the door. Through the glass, he saw Astra twisting. Not toward the door, but like something burned inside her. Her claws scraped the floor. Her gold. I found Ben. It was not rage, it was fear. Ben pressed his palm to the glass. Astra, he whispered. Her breathing turned rough. Then Ben saw it, a dark wet spot high on her neck. Small. Fresh. A dart. Mark. Astra's legs failed. Her body hit the floor with a deep crash. The chains clanked, then went still. Ben turned, voice shaking. She was attacked. There's a dart. The dart. Thin man lifted his hands. Calm again. Now the only safe option is termination. We open the bay and end the threat. Vela stepped forward, eyes burning. Touch that door, and you answer to the court. Rack raised his rifle toward the syndicate. Guards, no one opens anything, he said. Not without me. Ben looked back through the glass. Astra did not move. The corridor lights flashed red. Somewhere inside the door, the lock system began to suck slow. Heavy clicks like the bay was about to open on its own. Vela rushed to the control panel and pressed her badge. Access denied flashed. They changed authority, she hissed. The thin man tapped his wrist device. The cycling clicks sped up. Rack aimed at him. Stop. Ben looked at the access tag, suddenly warm. He stepped to the panel, lifted the tag, to the reader, and held his breath. A green line crawled across the screen. Searching. The doors, bolts, started to slide. The bolt slid back. The quarantine door opened a hand's width and stopped with a grinding shudder. Cold air spilled out. Ben saw Astra on her side, chains slack, chest rising in short, painful breaths. Captain Rack stepped into the gap, stun, rifle up. Nobody goes in, nobody touches her. The syndicate representative, thin and neat in a sleek coat, lifted his palms. Captain, we have a safety inspection order. The creature is sedated and unstable. Velicor raised her legal badge. This bay is under legal hold. Your order does not override the court. Ben didn't wait. He slipped through the gap and dropped beside Astra's head. Her gold eye turned to him. Not rage, just tired. Focus. I'm here, Ben whispered. He found the dart mark high on her neck. Blood, a dark bruise, heat under the skin. When he touched the edge it felt like a burn. She's burning, Ben said. That dart is killing her. Rack snapped. Medics. Now. Vela spoke into a tablet. Dragon class. Emergency antitoxin, heavy transport. Station medics. Arrived with a reinforced sled and lift drones. The bay opened wider as Ben kept his access tag pressed to the reader. When the drones gripped Astra, her wing twitched and the chains clanked. The syndicate man pointed, loud for the cameras. See? Violent. Rack moved close, voice low. Say that again and I'll drop you. Vela held up a small silver dart she had picked from the floor. The court will see this, she said, and it will ask who fired it. The syndicate man's smile tightened, then vanished. Astra was rolled out. Ben walked beside her head, hands hovering, afraid to hurt her. He noticed a burned mark on her throat, half covered by scars, a circle, a star, 3 claw strokes. Ben stopped. He had seen that shape before. He pulled out his father's old worker tag on a chain. The stamp was worn, but clear enough. A circle, a star, 3 lines. Vila soared at once. Where did you get that? Father, Ben said. He said it came from a rescue ship. Vila's gaze flicked to Astra's throat mark. That is not a worker mark, she said. It is a treaty seal. It's from the border fires. Rack's eyes narrowed. That war is history. 'Tis law, Vela replied. Old law that never died. They entered the heavy species medbay. The doors sealed. Medics injected antitoxin with a long lance. Machines hummed. A screen showed Astra's hard and slow heavy pulses. Why would they do this? Ben asked. If they want her alive, why poison her? Because they want her alive in a cage, Vela said. Not alive in court. Ben looked at her. Court. Vela kept her voice low. Kestrel Syndicate is trying to declare Astra incapable and unsafe. If they win, she becomes property again. Transferable. Silent. Ben's stomach twisted. And you need me because she didn't attack me. Yes, Vela said. Voluntary trust. Choice. That is what the council must see. Ben swallowed. You said something earlier. About memory. Vela nodded. Astra carries witness memory from the border fires, she said. Names, codes, orders, proof that can break Kestrel's ownership claims. Ben's voice went smaller. So if she dies, it disappears, Vela said. Astra's eye opened wider. It focused on Ben's tag, then on Ben's face. Her throat worked as if she was pulling words through stone. Ben stepped closer. Did you save my father? He whispered. Is that why he had this? Astra's claw moved. It reached toward Ben's chest and stopped hovering. Ben placed his hand against her claw. The scales were warm, rough, and careful. Astra breathed. Out. The room, VIVRAT. Her mouth opened. Ben braced for a roar. One cracked word came out instead, clear enough to freeze everyone. Keeper Vila went still. She named you, she whispered. Under ancient treaty. Rack took one step back. Stunned, Ben did not move. He kept his hand on Astra's claw, feeling her pulse. Then a heavy thud hit the medbay doors. Vela's tablet flashed red. Court order, transfer of custody approved. Effective now. The locks clicked, changing from green to red. The medbay lights turned red. A flat station voice said, Security, transfer in progress. Stand clear. Velacour stared at her tablet. That custody order was pushed through a private channel, she said. It's a trap. Captain Rack planted himself at the doors. Trap or not, they're coming. A heavy impact hit the doors. A seal cracked. Ben flinched and looked at Astra. The aging dragon lay on the reinforced sled, breathing in short pools. The antitoxin helped, but her eyes were still cloudy, like fire hid under her scales. They want her, Ben said. They want her silent, Vela answered. If they move her, we lose the case. Rack's wrist device beeped. Syndicate squad. Seconds out. Vela snapped at the medics. Release the sled 2 manual. Now. Clamps clicked loose. The lift drones detached. Ben grabbed the front handle. Rack took the rear. Vela opened a side door into a service hallway. The main doors burst behind them. Syndicate guards rushed in, rifles raised. The thin representative stepped through last, smiling. Council, he called. Please, cooperate. Vela didn't turn. Move. They shoved the sled into the narrow corridor. Astra's chains rattled with every bump. A siren rose. Shutters slammed down across public halls. Locked down, the station voice announced. All civilians seek shelter. They staged a lockdown, Vela said. Fewer witnesses. Rack glanced at Ben. Keep her calm. If she panics, we die. Ben leaned close to Astra's head. Morning, he whispered. Remember morning. Safe. Astra's gold eye shifted to him. Her breathing slowed by one thin step. They reached a market access gate half lowered. Beyond it, civilians were trapped in a side hall, pressed to walls. A small child cried. A cart had tipped, spilling cords and packages. Astra lifted her head. Fear rolled off the crowd like heat. Don't, Ben whispered. He stood in front of her line of sight. Palms open. Not the Astra's wing twitched. Chains pulled tight. The crowd screamed. Vela slapped the control panel. The gate rose just enough. We squeezed through. Go! A stun bolt cracked behind them. Rack fired back. Careful bursts to slow the syndicate squad. Ben pushed the sled under the gate with inches to spare. Astra's horn scraped metal. Sparks fell. On the far side, an alien teen slipped on the spilled cords, right in their path. Ben yanked the handle. The sled swerved. Wheels screamed. It missed the teen by a hand's width. A syndicate guard lunged through the gate. Astra's tail lifted weak, but heavy. Dropped like a barrier. The guard slammed into scales and fell back. Astra did not strike, she only blocked. Vela's eyes widened. She chose restraint. She murmured, "Eva drug." Rack growled. Run. They turned into a cargo tunnel that smelled of rust and coolant. Vela guided them toward Dock 12, where a small legal shuttle waited, one of the few ships Kestrel did not own, at the next junction. A security grate dropped fast, trying to cut them off. Vela jammed her badge in, but the panel flashed red again. Ben lifted his father's treaty tag and pressed it to the reader. The panel hesitated, then finally blinked green. "Interesting," Vela breathed. "Your link to her matters more than mine." They shoved through as the grate started. To fall again. A drone swooped low and fired a dart. Rack knocked it aside with his rifle. Ladar cut his arm, leaving a smoking line. Rack didn't slow. "Keep moving." Ben ripped his last heat pack open and tucked it near Astra's neck, close to the wound. "Hold on," he whispered. Boots hammered behind them. They reached the final dock gate. Locked. Bila pressed her badge. "Access denied." Flashed. "They cut my authority." Rack slammed the panel override. The screen blinked red, then showed a new line. Kestrel authority. Lethal response approved. Rifles clicked behind them. The thin representative's voice echoed down the tunnel.com in clear Endis. "Kill the human first." Rack stepped in front of Ben, rifle up. Vela grabbed Ben's shoulder. "If you fall," she hissed, "Astra falls too." Astra's chest rose, her mouth opened, and the air in the tunnel began to heat. The tunnel heat rose fast. Syndicate rifles clicked behind them. Astra lifted her head, her gold eyes fixed on the dock gate lock. "Please," Ben said, close to her muzzle. "No fire at people." Captain Rack held his stun rifle steady. His burned arms shook. Velicor raised her badge. "Stand down," she ordered. The thin syndicate representative smiled. "End it," he said. Astra's throat rumbled. Heat rolled out. Ben lifted both hands. "Astra, look at me." I moved to him. The rumble lowered. Then she breathed out small and aimed. A thin line of flame struck only the lock. It glowed white, melted, and fell apart. The gate jerked open just enough. "Move," Rack shouted. Ben and Rack shoved the sled through. Vela sprinted to the shuttle ramp controls. Stun bolts hit the floor behind them, blue sparks snapping. The ramp dropped. Ben pushed the sled up. The wheels caught, then rolled inside. Rack fired. 2 stun shots. 2 guards fell. The rest kept coming. Astra paused at the ramp. Ben saw the choice in her eyes. He shook his head. "Block them," he whispered. "No killing." Astra blinked once. She breathed up into the ceiling above the tunnel mouth. Metal sagged and poured down. A hot wall formed between the ramp and the squad. The guards stopped, forced back. Vela slammed the ramp shut. The shuttle sealed and lifted. Inside. Rack wrapped his arm and spat. "Kestrel will call this kidnapping." Vela typed fast on her tablet. "Then we go higher," she said. "Emergency hearing, Court of Stars." Ben stayed by Astra's sled. Her breathing was rough, but her eyes stayed on him. "You listened," he whispered. Hours later, they entered a hall of glass and white light. Judges sat behind clear shields. When Astra arrived, the room went silent. Kestrel's lawyers waited across the floor. The thin representative stood with them. Calm again, Vela stepped to the center line. "Astra of the old line petitions recognition of personhood and protection," she said. Kestrel attempted to drug her and force a transfer. A judge with silver plates on his cheek spoke. "Kestrel claims the dragon is incapable and unsafe." Kestrel, lead lawyer, pointed at Ben. "The human trained the beast. Remove him and the creature becomes violent." All eyes turned to Ben. Ben stepped forward. His voice shook, but his words were plain. "Ben did not train her," he said. "Ben fed her scraps each morning." Ben said, "Morning. That is all." He took a breath. Astra could have killed Ben the first day. She didn't. She chose not to hurt anyone. Vela played the recordings. The court saw the hatch visits. They saw Astra eat slow and calm. They saw the heat pack pulled close. Then they saw the dart fall. They saw Astra collapse. They saw her melt the lock and block the tunnel without burning guards. Vela lifted the dart in a sealed tube. A lab scan flashed on the screen. Unregistered toxin, grade A. Kestrel's lawyer tried to laugh it off as medical sedative. The judge's eyes went cold. "Sedatives have licenses," he said. "This has a serial file scraped away." The judge leaned forward. "That is deliberate aim," he said. Kestrel's lawyer snapped. "A staged show." Vela's voice turned hard. "Then let Astra speak." A ripple moved through the hall. "Can she?" the silver-faced judge asked. Ben walked to Astra's side. He held his hand near her claw, not touching unless she chose it. "Astra," he whispered. "Tell them." Machines beeped. Astra drew a deep breath. With slow effort, she pushed herself up. Gasps broke the silence. God's descent, said. Astra stood, shaking, but standing. A voice came out cracked and heavy-eyed. Choose. Vela stepped forward. State your choice. Astra turned her head to Ben her gold. I held him steady. Morning, caper, she said. The court went dead quiet. The silver-faced judge rose slowly. Ancient naming, he said. Ancient law. He looked across the bench. If that naming is valid, the old treaty activates. Kestrel's side erupted in protests. But the judge lifted his hand and the warrior protections returned, he said. Effective immediately. The moment the judge spoke, Kestrel's lawyers stopped smiling. A thin hum filled the court of stars. Security shields brightened. Station guards tightened their grip on stun rifles. The silver-faced judge's voice stayed calm. Astra of the old line is recognized as a legal person under treaty law. Her chosen keeper is recognized as protected witness. Vela Kor exhaled once, sharp with relief. Captain Rack's shoulders lowered just a little. Ben should have felt safe, but he saw the thin syndicate representative's eyes. They were not angry. They were empty. He tapped his wrist device under the table, hidden by his sleeve. Ben's stomach tightened. Vela, he whispered. He's doing something. Vela followed Ben's gaze. Her face changed. Security. The hall lights flickered. Then every screen in the courtroom turned black. A new message burned across them in harsh white. Evacuation order. Hazard event. Dockering. Tattering. People rose in confusion. A judge snapped. That message is not court issue. Captain Rack's wrist device screamed with alerts. They triggered an emergency protocol. He growled. Fake or real? Vela's tablet flashed red. They're overriding station systems, she hissed. Kestrel has deep access. Astra's head lifted. Her throat rumbled like distant thunder. Ben put himself at her side. Stay with me, he said. No panic. The court doors slammed open. Syndicate rescue teams stormed in wearing hazard masks. Not normal station guards. Private units. Their rifles were not stun rifles. They were lethal. Protect the bench, someone yelled. The thin representative stepped into the center, voice amplified. Hazard containment, he shouted. The creature is unstable. Remove all civilians. Vela raised her badge. This is a court, she snapped. You have no authority here, the representative smiled. Not your court anymore. A loud crack echoed above them. A ceiling panel burst. Inward, and a small drone dropped like a black insect. Then another. Then 5 more. Rack lifted his rifle and fired. Blue bolts took 2 drones down. But more came. One drone fired a dart. Ben saw it in midair and shoved his shoulder into Astra's sled. The dart hit the metal frame instead and shattered. Rack barked. They're aiming for her throat again. Vela grabbed Ben's arm. They're not trying to move her, she said, voice tight. They're trying to end her right here before the ruling can spread. Ben's pulse hammered. But the judge can't protect a dead client, Vela said. A judge shouted orders, but panic rose like smoke. Court staff ran. Some guards tried to form a line, but Kestrel's private teams pushed forward. Astra's gold eyes swept the hall. She saw the fear. She saw the weapons. She saw the drones. Ben leaned close. Astra, no killing, he whispered. Please, we just need to leave. Astra breathed out slowly. The air warmed. Not a roar. Not wild. Controlled. A wall of heat shimmered between the civilians and the attackers, bending the light like glass. The Kestrel team hesitated. Rack seized the moment. Move, Astra, he roared. Ben and Rack pushed the sled toward the side exit. Vela ran ahead, hacking door seals with her tablet. The thin representative shouted. Burn the witness. A rifle lifted. Rack jumped in front of Ben. The shot cracked. Rack's armor sparked. He grunted and staggered, hit hard but not dead. Ben caught him by the shoulder. Rack's teeth bared. Go, he rasped. Don't stop. Ben shook his head. Not leaving you, Vela screamed. Ben. A drone dove from above, aiming for Astra's neck. Ben moved without thinking. He climbed onto the sled, covering Astra's throat with his own body. The dart hit Ben's side. Pain like ice spread under his ribs. Ben gasped. His vision flashed white. He slid off the sled and hit the floor, breathing shallow. Vela dropped to her knees beside him. No, she whispered. No. Rack tried to rise. His legs failed. Astra's head jerked toward Ben. Her eye widened. Then, the courtroom temperature spiked. The air shook. Glass shields trembled. Ben coughed, tasting metal. Astra don't. Astra rose. Slow. Massive shaken. And for the first time, her voice filled the hall. Not broken, not weak, she said. The word hit like a hammer. Astra turned her head toward the Kestrel team. Her throat glowed. Vela shouted. Desperate. Astra, stop. If you kill them, they win. Astra's glow held, trembling as if she fought herself. Ben lifted one trembling hand. Reaching toward her. Astra, he whispered, barely audible. Choose. Morning. Her gold eye snapped to him. The glow faded a fraction. But then another rifle lifted, aimed at Ben's head. Rack soared and tried to crawl. Too slow. The shot fired, and Astra moved faster than anyone thought. An aging dragon. Her wings slammed down between Ben and the bullet. The bullet struck bone and scale with a sharp crack and fell harmless to the floor. Astra did not burn them. She shielded Ben. The courtroom fell into stunned silence, even the attackers pausing. Then Astra's legs buckled. She swayed, still protecting Ben, and collapsed with a deep, shaking impact. Her gold eye stayed open, locked on him. Ben's vision blurred as the toxin worked through him. He heard Vela's voice like it came from far away. Medics now, he took the dart meant for her. Rack's rough voice followed. Hold on, Hale, don't you dare die. Ben tried to breathe. Astra's claw reached, slow and careful, toward Ben's hand. Their finger scale and skin touched. Astra's voice was a whisper now, almost gentle. We'll keep her. And the whole lights went out again. Ben woke to soft beeping and the smell of clean air. For a few seconds he did not remember where he was. White ceiling, smooth lights, a quiet hum like distant ocean waves. Then pain returned, a deep ache under his ribs, a burning line along his side. He tried to sit up. A firm hand pressed his shoulder back down. Don't, Captain Rack growled. Ben turned his head. Rack sat beside the bed, arm wrapped in fresh bandage. His armor was gone. For the first time, he looked like a tired man, not a weapon. Ben's voice came out rough. Astra. Rack's jaw tightened. Alive, he said. Barely. Ben's chest loosened, then tightened again with fear. Where is she? Rack nodded toward a thick glass wall across the room. Behind it, Astra lay on a reinforced platform in a large medbay chamber. Machines surrounded her like a ring of silent guards. Thick cables ran to her chest and neck. Her breathing was slow, heavy, controlled by the rhythm of the monitors. Her gold eye was open, watching. Ben swallowed. She's awake. She hasn't slept since the court attack, Rack said. She watches the door, like she thinks they're still coming. Ben stared at her. Are they? Rack's mouth twisted. Kestrel tried, he admitted, but they made too much noise. The door to Ben's room slid open. Velocore walked in, coat wrinkled, hair pulled back tight like she had not stopped moving for days. Her eyes were red, but sharp. You're awake, she said. Ben tried to lift his head. The dart. Vela stepped closer. It was toxin. Yes. But we got it out fast enough. She said, you will live. Ben let out a slow breath. Vela's face softened for half a second. She will live long enough to finish what she started, she said quietly. That is not the same as living long. Ben's throat tightened. What happened after the lights went out? Vela looked down at her tablet and tapped once. The glass wall across the room turned into a screen replaying security footage. The courtroom went dark. Kestrel teams moved in panic. Station guards finally arrived in force. The judges were rushed to safety. The thin syndicate representative was pulled back by his own men. Then the next clip showed something that made Ben's skin prickle. Astra, weak and shaking, had lifted her head and spoken clearly into the darkness, into the station network itself, broadcast through emergency channels. Not a roar, a message. Vela's voice returned. She used an old treaty protocol, she said. A dragon's witness declaration. It cannot be edited. It cannot be erased. Ben swallowed. What did she say? Vela's eyes stayed on the screen. Names, she said. Routes, false contracts, hidden transfer orders. The real owners. Behind Kestrel. The court never had this level of proof before. Rack grunted. Kestrel's top people are being arrested right now. Ben's heart pounded. The thingy. Vela nodded. In custody. And for the first time, he is afraid. Ben turned his head toward Astra behind the glass. So she won. Vela was quiet for a beat. She did, she said. But victory still has a cost. Ben's eyes burned. Can I see her? Rack started to argue, but Vela lifted a hand. He is the keeper, she said. If she asked for anything, it was him. They helped Ben stand. His legs shook. The pain tried to fold him in half, but he forced himself forward, step by step, until he reached the glass. Astra's gold eye tracked him. Her breathing hitched, then smoothed, like she had been holding tension inside her chest. Ben pressed his palm to the glass. Astra slowly lifted her claw and pressed it to the other side. Glass separated them, but the connection felt real. I'm here, Ben whispered. Morning. Astra's. I blinked once. Slow and heavy. Vela spoke from behind him. Ben, she said softly. The council has already issued Astra's protection order. But she added something. Ben didn't look away from Astra. What? Vila's voice tightened. A final trust. In your name. She asked the court to grant you authority over a sanctuary funded by her assets for creatures like her. Old, injured, unwanted. Ben's mouth went dry. Me. Why me? Rack answered before Vela could. Because you didn't want power, he said. You just brought food. Ben's eyes filled up. Not qualified. Vela stepped closer. You're qualified in the only way that matters, she said. You saw her as someone. Astra's claw slid slightly on the glass. A slow, gentle motion like a farewell. Ben leaned forward, voice breaking. Don't go. Astra's throat moved. Her voice came out as a low whisper through speakers in the room routed by the Medvay translators. Morning after, she said. Ben shook his head. No, more mornings. Astra's. I held him steady. Then her gaze shifted past him to Vela, and then to Rack, as if she needed to see them too. Her voice came again, clearer this time. No cages. Vela swallowed hard. No cages, she repeated. Rack's expression tightened. He nodded once, like a soldier taking an order he would obey for the rest of his life. Astra's chest rose, slow and deep. Then her breathing eased. The tension left her body like a long-held battle finally ending. The monitors changed tone, becoming softer, slower. Ben stood frozen. Astra, her gold eye remained open for one more moment, looking at him, not like an animal, like a person who had made peace. Then the eye closed. The machines quieted. The room became still. Ben's hand stayed on the glass. Vela placed a hand on his shoulder. Gentle, she chose her end, she whispered, as a person. Days later, the station market opened again. The crowds returned. Vendors shouted. Ships came and went. But something had changed in a small sanctuary bay near the quiet rings. A new sign hung above a wide-open door. Morning house, no chains, no sieges. Ben stood inside with a simple bowl in his hands. Not scraps this time, real. Food, warm and safe. A small rescued hatchling, scales pale and eyes wide, stepped forward carefully. Ben knelt. He kept his voice soft. Morning, he said. The hatchling sniffed, then ate. Ben watched, breathing steady. He didn't feed a monster. He fed a soul.